This is Lions on Tap, a weekly look inside the Lions' Den, presented by Coors Light, the chilled choice and official beer of the BC Lions. Highlights, interviews, and a look ahead to this week's game. Now, here are your hosts, Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski, and the voice of your BC Lions, Bob the Moj Marjanovic.
This is BC Lions on Tap on CKNW 980 and the Lions Radio Network. It's the Moj, Bob Marjanovic, along with Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski, coming to you from Kelly O'Brien's in New Westminster, my stomping grounds, the former keg at the foot of 8th Street in Columbia, to be exact, 8th and Columbia. And guys, this is like I used to come here when I was your age, when it was a keg back in the day, when I was a young pup. Nick, when I had game.
You're all excited about the good service here, too, I hear.
You know what? Don't go traveling down that road.
I was going to say, back when TV was in black and white, back in those days.
No, we had color back then. But no, coming through these doors, this building brings back a lot of memories as a kid. As even, growing up. The keg was here from 1973 to 2013.
Did they have that big patio out there?
No.
That's what I like.
This was one of the first kegs.
Yeah,
then, right?
It was one of the first kegs. So it was here for 40 years. Mm-hmm. And if you walk, even now, if you walk up into the building here, you're going to see it says CP 1899. This was originally a train station that was built in 1899. Now, rumors have it that the place is haunted, right? Rumors have it. But anyway, Kelly O'Brien's has taken over. Big shout out to Jen, Mackie, Kaylee, and the rest of the staff here at Kelly O'Brien's at the foot of 8th Street in New West. And
Love it.
Jen and I have, and it's funny because Jen, I knew when she was Jen McCreath, right? She was in the industry. And we've got some history in terms of playing together in a golf tournament at Westwood Plateau. I might get into that a little later, but big shout out to Jen. Mackie now, ironically enough, our guest tonight is David Mackie, fullback of the Lions. But big shout out to Jen, Mackie, Kaylee, and the rest of the staff here for welcoming us with open arms at Kelly O'Brien's in New Westminster. Get an opportunity, check it out. It's a great room, just a great, great building if you want to come down and enjoy the ambiance. All right, let's get to it. Gentlemen, we'll start off with the game that was in Toronto. Lions losing to the Argos 35-27. I went on social media on the flight back home, and man, oh man, there were people that were losing it. But you know what that tells me? It tells me people are invested, Matt Baker.
They care. Shout out to our great fans. And, in mid-season form, let's just say some of them on the old social media. But you know what? I know you looked at our post-game interviews at bclions.com. Vernon Adams Jr. In particular, he owned it. Talking about the fumble and, I don't know, maybe hanging on to the ball too much. Complete team effort when you win and lose. And Rick Campbell said it best after in the room. Nikki here caught the locker room speech. We got the right people to get it done, and maybe facing a little bit of adversity is not a terrible thing at the end of the day. But the players and the coaches know they have to be better. It's not going to cut it, the overall effort there on Sunday.
Well, I mean, there were some legitimate concerns, legitimate gripes from fans. I mean, the offensive line giving up 6 sacks in that game, the offense giving up 6 sacks, and then, defensively, the Argonauts rushing for 120 yards against the Lions defense that's been revamped and supposedly better against the run. That being said, Toronto's a good team, right? So you got to tip your cap to them. It's one game. They lost by, 8 points despite being -4 in the turnover department. I mean, I can understand some of those complaints. The ones that I don't understand are like the ones that say, I can't believe they kicked a 47-yarder or probably a 52-yarder and then they didn't want to go for a 47-yarder. Did you notice the wind by any chance?
Yeah, Mother Nature had an impact on that. And, you mentioned an 8-point loss, but really, let's be honest, too. That last Toronto touchdown came after a turnover on downs on the 1-yard line, right? Yep. So it was essentially a 1-point game.
A one-score game.
With 30 seconds to go.
Well, still a one-score game at the end.
Still a one-score game at the end.
That was the crazy thing. I mean, that was funny. I was talking with a friend of mine about it today. He's like, what was Toronto doing putting the offense out there going for 2 points? I'm like, please do this. Instead, they kind of regained their sanity, went for the single, which was the play, and then Hiralahu missed it.
And he missed it, yeah.
And the Lions still had an opportunity to go down and score a touchdown and get a 2-point cover. They got to the 40, right? But in the end, Toronto won, and you got to tip your cap to the Toronto Argonauts. So we'll see what happens this week. The fellas have a couple of days off. They're back at work tomorrow out at Surrey, and we'll see what happens with some lineup changes maybe. I mean, maybe they go with the offense that they had, the offensive line that they had. They do have the luxury of perhaps starting 3 imports on the offensive line. Chris Schluger
Yep.
might be a guy they give a look, right? So
2 healthy scratches, essentially, with Schlugger and George Una, the Canadian first-round pick. So there are some options.
And then defensively, I'm not as concerned about the defense, and I'll tell you why. There are some familiar faces, but there are also familiar faces in new positions. I think like Patrice Rene playing the nickel. I think Josh Woods playing inside. Adrian Green, not that experienced at playing safety. So when I look at the defense, I think Ryan Phillips the defensive coordinator, Ryan Phillips, still might be into that stage where he's kind of determining what guys can and can't do, right? And I think that's probably one of the things that bodes well for the defense. I think the defense is going to be fine when it's all said and done.
It was like years past, too, on Sunday where it was a committee of guys playing and rotating in, right? So you saw Christian Covington and Josh Banks getting the majority of the reps of the D-line, but then Marcus Moore and Thibaut Debaye rotating in. Thibaut obviously getting his first touchdown on a Josh Archibald sack, which was his first sack in the CFL. A guy like Jordan Perryman was making his first start. I even noticed AC Ely getting reps at linebacker, number 41.
Yeah,
that's right.
In his first CFL game, too. So everybody was playing on defense to the expectation that RP set these last couple of years. And, yeah, it's still a younger group. It's going to take time to gel. And it's not like they were getting to Cam Dukes, and Cam Dukes, it felt like almost every time he was backing up, and finding that under route and making the receivers get first downs.
I think, if I broke it down from a coach's perspective, was the fact that they really didn't have that much pressure on Dukes, and as a result, the linebackers were getting depth, and they kept getting depth. And they got so much depth to the point where he was just checking stuff down, and when he did, now that level was scrambling to get there and make the tackle before the first down. Right, and that happened a lot in that game. And the other thing, too, is like the Lions got caught in man a few times where they're running crossing routes. A guy was 2-3 steps behind, and give Cam Dukes credit because he made the throw to that crosser. That probably happened around 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, and even the pressure that he got, I thought he did it. He came to me a bunch of times right in front of me. There was one with Ben Hladek where he's running backwards essentially and hits a guy right on the sideline for a first down. And I thought, Cam Dukes has only started, 3 games in the CFL?
He played well.
He played very well. So it's the tip of the cap to the Argos too, right? And guys like Rashid Bailey have filled in nice. Dejon Brissett getting a touchdown, right? So they showed they have weapons still on offense, even though a lot of experts kind of pegged that they lost too much talent to compete at a high level again.
Well, and the other thing, too, you look at that defensive line, arguably one of the best defensive lines in the league. So the Lions giving up 6 sacks. They got to be better, though. And the reason I say that is because if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. Right? It's one thing to say, oh, they were good. Well, guess what? If you want to win championships, if you want to win division titles, you have to be better than the opposition. And that means being better than a team like Toronto in that game. So we'll see. I mean, there's, 17 games left?
Right? And you know what I love this time? Remember last year we went into Toronto and it was a rough go, the 6 interceptions. Didn't get to see him again. We get to see Toronto again. Not going to be until September. A lot of football, but getting back to the balanced schedule in 2024, a brilliant move, and we get him in our house. So
yeah, and again, it's one of the things I wrote about this week in my column for Black Press. Rick Tocchet, head coach of the Canucks, implied this to his group all year long. Even keel, stay even keel, right? Don't get too high after a win. Don't get too low after a loss. I kind of suggest maybe some Lions fans taking that advice as well, right? I mean, just don't get too cranked up after the wins and try to, take the losses a little bit more in stride. This is BC Lions on Tap, coming to you from Kelly O'Brien's in New Westminster. It's the Moj, Bob Marjanovic, along with Nick Kowalski from the BC Lions media team. Hey, by the way, before we move along and start talking about the game against Calgary and everything that's planned for this weekend, I watched Arrow Up this weekend, the Kamloops training camp edition, 1 hour long.
pretty good, eh?
It was outstanding. Nick, you got a little bit of a talent for this. You might have a future in doing this type of work.
Yeah, you could say so, but I appreciate the love, Moja. I know there's been a lot of love over social media these past couple of days with it. Liam Thompson obviously contributes a ton to it too. Baker too, planning the story, booking interviews, all the 9 yards. Even our women in football,
You need
Rachel.
a booking agent at some point, yeah.
Matt Baker's got you, yeah.
Complete inside joke, and I don't think anybody will realize this, but I don't even know if hardcore Lions fans will realize this. I know we probably do. But that one scene where you're shooting from the stands and it's an empty field, and all of a sudden you see Ryan Rigmaiden walking across, just doing his 10,000 steps.
Well, Rick Campbell, too, won, right?
I was howling.
I'm going to correct you. It was Rick Campbell.
It was Rick Campbell?
It was Rick Campbell.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a shot where I mean, you have a lot of time before practice starts, right? So I'm literally just sitting there waiting for Rick I'm framing my shot up right, getting the composition all right, and then waiting for Rick to cross. And then I kind of specifically put Rick's audio over underneath it too while it was coming out of the meeting. So that's all by design. I try to be subliminal with some of those things, but that was by design.
Okay, now Rick will probably be really upset with me seeing how I mistook him for Ryan Rick Maiden.
And now that you brought it up, for those listening who haven't yet checked it out, do so. Subscribe and like our YouTube channel, the full episode. We did a great one with draft night too, and storytelling is what we're interested in. And the Ronald Kent Jr. piece where he admitted that he thought he screwed up in the preseason and wasn't going to make the team.
But it was really cool.
Very real.
Yeah, but it was just really cool listening to him talk about the fact that he was so hard on himself that he was focusing on the negative plays and really kind of ignoring the good ones. And, realizing at the end that, hey, maybe I made a lot more good plays than I did bad plays, right? So, again, if you haven't checked it out, please do so. All right, Calgary, this weekend. It's going to be a monster day at BC Place Stadium. Never mind the Lions taking on the Stampeders in their home opener. But 50 Cent in the house.
Yeah, concert kickoff, the third annual, and going to be the best one yet. 50 performing at 3 o'clock. We've been jacked up ever since we made this announcement on, May 27th in Kamloops. So the response has been great. We're expecting our largest crowd since 2011, largest CFL regular season crowd since then as well. This is going to be outstanding.
And there's more than just the 50 Cent concert, Pick. I mean, you guys got street festivities, planned, all that. I mean,
10:30 a.m.
10:30, backyard party, famous players band going to be performing a $5 Molson Coors product. So 10:30, there's a few hours before you get on the air. You can go have fun, you and Julio. No, you're all business. I know that. We're just bugging you. But bouncy castles and scavenger hunts for the kids. The great thing about the backyard tailgate Moj, there's something for everybody, all ages, and it's going to be an all-day party.
I think it's double the capacity too, right?
Yeah, it stretches out to Robson and Beatty Street as well.
What time's kickoff?
4 o'clock.
10:30, 4 and a half.
Well, probably more like 4:28 or something.
I'm not going to push my luck by going to that party at 10:30.
Just have a Diet Pepsi.
Yeah, sure. All right. This is BC Lions on Tap. We're coming to you from Kelly O'Brien's in New Westminster. Coming up in the next segment, Lions fullback David Mackie will stop by. We'll talk to David about the game in Toronto. We'll talk to him about the upcoming game against the Calgary Stampeders. Again, we're at Kelly O'Brien's at the foot of 8th Street in New West, 8th in Columbia to be exact. If you're in the neighborhood, pop on by. You're listening to BC Lions on Tap on CKNW 980.
Now back to more of Lions on Tap, presented by Coors Light. Once again, here are Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski, and Bob the Moj Marjanovic.
Welcome back to BC Lions on Tap, coming to you tonight from Kelly O'Brien's in New Westminster, right at the foot of 8th Street. Columbia and 8th to be exact. My old haunts back in the days when this guy was a youngster.
I was going to say, where's the Moj statue in New West? There's got to be one somewhere.
Queens Park area.
Lacrosse shrine there?
Yeah, kind of like, Salmon Bellies. Seeing how I am the Bo Jackson in New West.
You were a Richmond Outlaw, too, weren't you?
Richmond Outlaw, yeah. So, I played lacrosse and I played a little, obviously, football at UBC. So, yeah, I was kind of like the Bo Jackson. I wasn't very good at lacrosse.
One career goal, right?
We
looked up your stats that one night.
It wasn't good.
Yeah.
No. Remember that one? Well, it's funny because if you look at my stats, I think I scored 1 goal in 36 career games or something like that in the WLA.
Penalty minutes, though.
Yeah, I got tons of those. That was a lot of fun. And again, we are coming to you from Kelly O'Brien's in New Westminster. Big shout out to Jen Mackie, Kaylee, and the rest of the staff here at Kelly O'Brien's. And speaking of Mackie, it was funny. I phoned her today. I said, by the way, are you still Jen McCreath? She goes, no. She goes, I'm a married woman now. She says, my last name is Mackie, M-A-C-K-I-E. I go, really? I go, guess who our guest is tonight? She goes, who's that? I go, David Mackie, M-A-C-K-I-E. And we start laughing. So I said, where's your Mackie from? He's from Ontario. She goes, no, he's from New Zealand. So who knows? Maybe you're related somehow, some way, David Mackie, but I'm not betting on it.
No, I doubt it.
No.
I can't see it.
Nice to have you on board.
It's good to be back.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I don't know where the offseason went, but it flew by. I felt like I was just here, but it's good to be back with you boys.
Hey, by the way, speaking of flying by, May 9th, big birthday with a 0 behind it, young man. And I'm saying young because you still are young.
I'm feeling young. I mean, we were 1 game in. I still feel good, but 30, it's a little bit different. Football at 30, can't confirm, hurts a little bit more than football at 20. but I feel good.
Seriously, though, 30, I mean, it's probably, I remember when I turned 30, kind of a psychological hit, right? You're like, I'm 30 now. I'm like
Big
almost
time.
an adult.
And it was, almost. I think it was the timing of it. Like the day I landed in BC, I turned 30. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
It's here now.
Okay. Well, you know what? August 16th, I'll double you. So there you go. I've got a 0 behind mine,
Then
too.
you're almost an adult.
I just had I got a 0 behind mine too, a couple weeks ahead of your different.
When's your birthday, Big?
Mine April 25th,
Wow.
And you're a big 3-0 too?
plus 10.
Almost.
I know I don't look it, but
No.
yes.
So we're getting up there, fellas. I'm just
Oh, yeah.
saying. We're getting up there. All right, let's get into it. Toronto, not the way you wanted to start the season. I don't know if you've had a chance to look back at the game or watch it, but it's just your thoughts on what occurred.
Yeah, I mean, you can watch any of the games across the league in the first week, and it's, there was some just sloppy football, I think. On our part, there's just things like taking care of the ball, and that's not any one particular person. That's just it down to the whole team. Little errors on special teams. Defense, I can't speak for the defense. I'm not sure what's going on there. Obviously, great that they put a major on the board for us, but just some mistakes that I don't think we would have week 17, week 18, little things like that. But there's something cursed about that place. I got to win there. I want a real win there. We won on a Rouge in 2019, and I don't count that as a win.
Sergio Castillo.
I want a real win there.
Yeah.
That's, 4 trips now to Toronto without a win?
Yeah, and my whole family's there, and they're the problem, so they can't come to games anymore.
I'm surprised your family showed up because, we talked to you last year, and you grew up, someplace east of the Simcoe Lakes. Your family was in witness protection. You went to high school 3 hours away. I mean, it was some sort of story they came up with, but I'm surprised your family showed up.
They're still showing up, but I don't know. We lost again, so I think the numbers are going to start to dwindle.
Just to expand on it, we've had some weird ones there. Your rookie year, 2018.
Is that the one where the 3 missed field goals?
Well, that was 2021.
Oh.
Yeah.
2018, there was a, as great as he's been, just retired Manny Arsenault had a drop. We were going into field goal range to win it. Turnover. Then the Jimmy Camacho missed field goals.
Gosh.
3 of them.
The kicker that never bothered taking practice kicks on the sideline.
2021.
The double
and
overtime.
then,
That was crazy.
unfortunately, Whitey missed one at the end of the loss there in 2022. Vernon, it was right after Vernon had arrived a few weeks later, and then, of course, last year we talked about it. But yeah, something in the water there for sure. Something in Lake Ontario.
I don't know.
When you look at the performance, you talk about, being sloppy a little bit. It wouldn't happen in week 17. Are those mental mistakes or those physical mistakes?
I think a little bit of both, right? Like I'm not saying that we're rusty, but there's still rust coming off on camp, right? Like all the ones we got maybe a half of football in the preseason.
Yeah.
I think we had a pretty good training camp on offense, but at the same time, when bullets are live, it's a little bit different. And so just seeing different looks. We're also playing a defense that we have no prep for, right?
Yeah.
They got 2 different DCs making calls. We're kind of grouping looks together from film from last year and what I believe, they would do with the front 7. But so, from a mental side there, we don't get a true prep. I mean, it's tough. Even this week, we've got 1 game of film coming.
Well, at least you got 1.
That's right.
Right.
So and then physically, it's just just taking real hits, and when the risks are there, it's a little bit different. It slows down your thinking a little bit.
And that's one of the things that Julie always talks about, and Julio Caravet, our color analyst on the broadcast, he says there's game speed and there's practice speed and then there's game speed. You could never duplicate game speed in practice. No matter how hard you try, you can't do it, right?
Well, it's also the risks associated with making decisions really quickly.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not just the physical speed of it and how fast you run and how hard you hit. It's when someone's coming at you full speed. How does that change your thought process, right?
Well, unfortunately for me, Dave, watching that game from the sideline, I had flashbacks to last year from Toronto, obviously with those turnovers. But then it kind of had the same feeling as that Winnipeg game that we hosted last year, where we still had the opportunities, but every time it felt like it was 2nd and 20 or 3rd and 20, and it was this VA chucking up balls deep. So has there been talk about in these past couple of days that, we were going through the same problems? And if so, how do you get past those same problems that the team has been going through? Yeah,
I think that's a coaching thing. We'll be interested. We're back to work tomorrow, so we'll see how we address those. I think Jordan's an offensive genius, right? So I'm sure he'll have something together, whether it's some changes we got to make or some things we got to clean up or something we got to focus on in practice. Like you said, it gives us flashbacks of Winnipeg, but at the same time, let's say we pulled out that win there, we wouldn't even mention that game, right? So it's like the outcomes are always, situational. We think back at a game that we lost. But
this is BC Lions on Tap, coming to you from Kelly O'Brien's New Westminster, 8th Street and Columbia. It's the Moj Marjanovic along with Nick Kowalski and Matt Baker from the Lions media team. And fullback David Mackie is our guest. It's interesting. I was talking about the defense, and they give up 120 yards rushing. And I said, I think Ryan Phillips, the defensive coordinator, still probably trying to figure out what he has with certain players, what they can and can't do. You've got some familiar faces in new positions. You've got new faces in new positions. And I still think he's kind of in that sorting out process. And, it's kind of funny because you were talking about the offense, and I think maybe Jordan McSimmick's probably in the same boat having William stand back, right? Because I think there's probably been a tendency to stay away from the run. And, talking to Jordan in training camp in Kamloops, he said that, last year, 2nd and 3, there's a reluctance to run the ball. There's maybe we will, maybe we won't. This year, there's no reluctance. It's 2nd and 3, we got William Stanback. We will run the ball. And I think maybe, just maybe, you kind of develop those habits in a game with what you've done maybe the last 2 or 3 years, and you kind of got to unwind a little bit and say, hey, we've got a weapon here, let's use it. Because Stanback ran pretty good for the most part.
I think he was great, right? And it's nice to have a back that guys are willing to lean on. And I love Smoke, but like you said, the media is saying it, the coaching staff, kind of the aura around the team is that they're willing to lean on this guy for some short yardage or on first down. But yeah, to talk about Jordan or RP or anything like that, it's like what people don't understand, right? It's also game one for them, right? They also had an off season and they had a great time to prep the playbook and whatnot. Like, you wouldn't believe the playbook prep that we get handed to us on offense when we get into training camp. But it's they haven't called plays since the West Final, right? So it's like just getting them, the rust off of them too, and like you said, understanding the tools that they have and how they're going to go about it.
Stanback only had 11 carries, right? So there you go.
11 carries, I think 16 touches overall, 5 catches, and but he definitely brings that extra element. Hey, but what about these receivers? Liam Thompson and I on the sidelines were kind of saying, let's get Eden Eberhardt going, and then he makes that insane catch to extend that drive. Unfortunately came right before the fumble. But, you see Big Cat, big playability with him. Of course, McInnes going to take a big step this year. How excited does it make you seeing these receivers?
It's awesome. Like, I think any one of the guys we've got on our roster could have a 100-yard game at any point, right? Like, Big Cat's had numerous amount of 100-yard games, and I think he's unbelievable. We share some skill sets. We play a similar position somewhat, but obviously he's more the receiving side. And, Aiden and Justin and Ali B, obviously, right? But any of those guys can take off for 100 yards on any given day, and it's cool to see. And with Trav now in there, and he got his first touchdown, like it's cool. And like you said, when you give a guy like Jordan, that's the QB whisperer, but now he just has any tool that he wants, it's going to be cool.
That touchdown to Fulgham, I watched it again on replay. I've never seen 4 defenders bite on an out. Like, 4 guys jumped the out. And, like, we're talking to Vernon on the flight back home. He's like, he was trying to figure out who to throw it to.
There was everyone. It was everyone's touchdown.
There's like one Argonaut back there trying to cover 3 guys. I was like, wow. And that was a nice little fake by VA to get 4 defenders to jump it out. Yeah. I mean, I was just like, wow. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, when you look at Travis Fulgham, his first catch is a big bomb for a touchdown. You look at it's funny because I've heard so many people question – the receiving core with no Lucky Whitehead, with no Dom Rhymes, with Keon Hatcher out till probably, game 8 or game 9. I'm telling people, I'm like, don't worry about the receivers. They're going to be fine. Like, I mean, Aiden Eberhardt, we saw enough of him last year. You put anything like within a 1-foot radius, or hell not, call it a 5-foot radius.
Yeah, catching it.
He's catching it, right? He's going to catch whatever's thrown his way. He's kind of that Dressler-type possession receiver. And then Fulgham, I mean, you just got to get that guy playing with confidence because he has a skill set, right? So when I think about the offense and the receivers, to me, that's the least of my concerns.
Yeah, I think the receiving core is more than okay. Like you said, Hatch is just waiting in the stable, so it's going to be cool once he's back too.
For your game personally, Dave, I know it happened right in front of me, but you get a tackle right on teams in the first quarter, and teams is a big role that you play on this team. But, it's week 1, getting a tackle in the first quarter. Does that kind of make it feel like you're back into the season officially almost?
Yeah, it was nice. Like, I won't lie. It's like normally I play a lot of positions on our cover teams that if I'm making plays, it means we're in trouble, right? Other people miss their assignment. So it was cool to get down there and get in a 1. But I kind of had a flashback because last year that exact same direction, the exact same call. They ran back to the house, and I could see it painting out in front of me again. I was like, oh, absolutely not. And it was their same return call. You can see it on film, so it was cool to make that play this time instead of getting absolutely blown up in the back. So it was it's definitely nice. And like you said, just that official kind of take the monkey off the back, like, okay, we're back for real.
All right, that was last week. Let's start focusing on next week, our next segment with David Mackie, BC Lions fullback. We'll talk about the upcoming home opener versus the Calgary Stampeders. Also, the pregame concert with 50 Cent in the house. And attendance was expected to be around a sellout, 54,000. It's going to be crazy at BC Place come Saturday. Again, we're coming to you from Kelly O'Brien's in New Westminster. And again, a big shout-out to Jen, Kaylee, and the rest of the staff here at Kelly O'Brien's for having us. Again, we're at 8th Street and Columbia in New West, to be exact. You're listening to BC Lions on Tap on 980 CKNW.
Now back to more of Lions on Tap, presented by Coors Light. Once again, here are Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski, and Bob the Moj Marjanovic.
This is BC Lions on Tap, coming to you from Kelly O'Brien's in New Westminster. Of course, the former Keg Steakhouse right at the bottom of 8th Street, corner of 8th and Columbia. My old haunt, New West. And by the way, just let you know, my good friend George Petropavlos no longer has an establishment in New West. That was my place.
Yep.
I'm a free agent when it comes to New West locales. I think this might be the spot.
Well, yeah, they took us in gracefully tonight, and they're I highly recommend it.
Mackie, from what I understand, you guys had a little gathering place, some of the players in New West, and that kind of shut down. So you guys this could be a little hangout for you guys.
We're looking. We're free agents too.
Yeah.
There's myself, Tebow, Max, Woods, and Pearson. We're free agents. We're looking for a new place. Day 3. We just need a cold beverage and some good food. And this might be the spot. It's close to the
cool
SkyTrain.
right?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, I got a view of the bar right now, and there's been like nonstop Jaeger bombs been going on. So I don't know what's going on over there, but
I don't know if I can do that on day 3.
Someone's having a good time over there.
Back to, for me, it's like being out in 2005. Endless Jaeger bombs.
Oh.
Yeah. Can't do it.
David Mackie is our guest, BC Lions fullback. What do you guys do? Like, you don't have anything, planned. There's no practices until Tuesday. So what do you do to kind of rejuvenate yourself heading into this Calgary
Wednesday
week?
practice.
Or pardon me,
yeah.
Wednesday.
Well, as you so graciously mentioned, I am 30 now, so sleep was first and foremost. But yesterday got out and played around of golf, so that was great. First round.
There you go.
First round.
That's good rest. Let's go walk around and play 18 holes of golf. Where'd you play?
We rode. We were in Surrey. Shout out Surrey Golf Club. They took care of us, and it's
Whiting, Flintoff?
Nope. Packer, Pierce, and Jake. First round with Jake.
Oh, how good is Dolagala? We've heard stories.
He was using the mini rental set from Surrey. His clubs aren't here yet, and I think he still shot an 85. He looked like
really?
It looked like he was holding the mini stick. He's so tall. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good to get out.
That's big news that he shot an 85 because Whitey's worried about Whitey's not worried, but a lot of people are speculating that he might lose the club championship this year.
They're out today together, so I'm interested to see how
they went out today?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Dolagala and White went out, you said?
Yeah. So I'm interested.
We got to get
Whitey won't say he's worried, but
we got to get a status
man.
report.
He's worried.
Yeah, I'm gonna text him right now, get a status report. So, you just kind of stay off your feet. Do you stay away from football? Do you watch film? I mean, what do you kind of do? Because here's the other thing too. You're coming off the grind of training camp, right?
Yeah, but it's we just mentioned it, right? We've got a lot of short weeks. We've got a quick turnaround. We don't have much film of Calgary to watch, so it's what we do have. I jumped into it today, especially from a special team side. Next 2 days are going to be a pretty big offensive focus, so I jumped in with Benny and watched some tape. But for the most part, just be off my feet, right? Like, we're going to have 2 tough practices, and then we've got obviously a lot going on this weekend with the home opener. But it's good to just relax. Film doesn't take much effort, so just laying on the couch and flipping through some film wasn't too bad.
It's going to be a big week, and we'll get into all of it. But first off, 50 Cent performing. We saw the reaction from the players in Kamloops when you had the announcement. Nick did a great job of videotaping that, but just the whole thing. I mean, 50,000 fans, probably the most you've ever played in front of.
Yeah.
Some other guys probably as well, but man, it's going to be a crazy environment.
I'm excited. Dwayne and I were just talking about it, that it's like
Team President Dwayne Benu.
Yeah, we not very many of us have been around since 18 or 19 when the fan base wasn't quite as big or in the seats, and it's great to see. You guys have all been part of it. The amazing work you guys have done, and the marketing staff, and obviously the new ownership has blown it up. But it's going to be really cool to see that place sold out.
Well, I'll tell you, as a kid who was growing up, and you'd see 50,000 for big matchups against Winnipeg in the playoffs, and there are other times you'd have 45, 50, whatever. When that place, Bob Ackles always said this. The late great Bob Ackles said it. People always talk about the stadium, and it's not outdoors, and the people that just blame the stadium. He says there's nothing wrong with that stadium when you put 50,000 people in it, right?
I love that stadium.
Yeah.
It's great, yeah. Sorry, it's just like guys that come in and first-year guys. Like, it's what's really cool is the second preseason game. We were always at BC Place, and seeing guys. Obviously, we come in from Kamloops. They've got this amazing drive back. They've never seen anything like it, and then they come to BC Place, and all they say is they love the stadium. These are guys that come from the NCAA and play in all sorts of different arenas and stadiums, and they actually love the stadium. I think BC Place is awesome. Yeah, it's just obviously we got 30,000 in there, great crowd. Still looks a little bit empty, so it's going to be pretty cool.
And Nick, you talked about that in your Arrow Up episode. You had the reaction to some of the guys walking in. Travis Fulgham, I think, and Ronald Kent Jr. both walked in, and they're just like, wow.
All of them do, and I was even kind of prompting them, saying, like, it's bigger than you think, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, like, this is crazy, and they're videotaping it. If you watched Arrow Up, Ronald Kent had his, like, Ray-Ban glasses on, and he was actually filming it from his glasses. So, yeah, they love it.
That's awesome.
Is there a tendency maybe to be a little too jacked up for this one, considering the crowd? 50 cents season opener allowed, and because that is a concern sometimes, that you're overamped, that you try to do too much.
I mean, to each their own. I think everyone attacks it a little bit differently. I think I could go into it. Rick talks about the optimal level of arousal and everything like that around game time, but I think the silver lining of this past weekend. Obviously, we wish we came out 1-0. But everyone, even on the plane, was like, it's time for a reset. It doesn't matter what the outside noise has to say, the media, specifically the 50,000 fans, and everyone's going to want to talk about it. But I think a bunch of us are just reset on trying to get a win out of this one.
Yeah, about Calgary here, probably don't get as big a game in week 2 given the stakes. The Stampeders are starting off with a win over Hamilton. Can ill afford to drop to 4 points below a division rival at this juncture? How big is it from that perspective?
Yeah, and I think, when I first came to the league, Calgary was the big dog and the tail end of that dynasty. So I've always been a big screw Calgary guy, and I can to put it delicately. And
welcome to the club.
That's right. So it's I always think these games are big, but anytime we're playing a West opponent, the West is always so tough that 2 points at this time of year is still 2 points. And it doesn't matter if it's our second game or that huge game against Winnipeg at the end of the year. 2 points against the division is big.
Yeah, we've talked about special teams in your role there. The one constant with Calgary over the years is that they're always well coached, well prepared, and that's especially true on teams. How much do you embrace that challenge?
I love it. I think Killam's a great coordinator. Him and I are, I believe, on good terms. I don't know what he says about me behind my back, but we always catch up before the games, and I think those guys are always well coached, and that's always been a thing that I pressure young guys into studying the film, and they give us a lot of good work, and those games have been tough. But my role on teams is I get to use my brain a little bit and kind of to work against Killam, especially on punt and punt return. So it's always a good game and a lot of preparation for me.
Well, toward the end of training camp, I witnessed you using your brain a little more in terms of with Riley Pickett, because I think it's been an under-the-radar kind of story is that he's an offensive player now, and he was a 5th-round pick in 2022 as a defensive lineman. 2023 he's a long snapper. 2024 he's still a long snapper on field goal, I noticed. But he's a fullback now, and I saw toward the end of training camp you were coaching him up and telling him probably everything he needs to know. That's extensive, like you mentioned earlier. So just talk about Riley and how you've kind of had to take him under your wing these last 2 weeks here.
Yeah, Riley Pickett's a name that I hope anyone listening gets to know. He's a first-team all-locker-room guy. Like you said, 3 positions in his first 3 years in the league, and he totally embraces it. There was a point in the second preseason game, he's bouncing around on all 4 teams, and he's sitting there on the bench just collecting his helmet's still on. And I remember me and Mike Couture look at him, and Mike's like, what a team guy. Like, he's just embraced any role that's thrown at him. He's excelled at, I think he's going to be one of our top teamers this year outside of what this transition of fullback, and he's just dove into it. He's watched extra film. He asks all sorts of questions, and I think he's a hell of a flow player, and it's really cool to see a guy just embrace whatever his role is.
That's not easy to do. And I remember one player that I played with many moons ago, Canadian Junior Player of the Year. He was a linebacker. Went to camp with the Lions. They made him a defensive lineman, and just never converted, right? I mean, and there was a sense of frustration there because he believed that linebacker's my best position. I mean, I'm a Canadian Junior Player of the Year, right? And then, no, we're going to make you in a defensive end. Never played defensive end in his life, right? So it's to make transition at the pro level to a position you've never played before, that's extremely difficult. And, like you said, for Riley to have the mental fortitude to embrace it kind of tells you a little bit about where he's at, like mentally, and how strong he is.
Oh yeah, and the joke about being a fullback, it's more of a want-to position than a skill position, and there's definitely some want-to in that guy, and it's cool to see, and he's totally dialed into meetings, and if he's got to watch extra film or whatever it is, and I try to be an open book. I try not to think of myself as too much of an old guy, but I guess 7 years in the same position has been, I guess old enough to start passing along some wisdom, and he's a great kid, and I'm really looking forward to see the season that he has.
All right, Calgary, we touched on it briefly as the opposition, but we talked about it at the start, but what do you have to do what do you think the focus will be on in the two practices leading up to the Calgary game from an offensive perspective?
I think it's just ourselves. Really, the biggest thing that's got us so much success over the last couple of years is it's what we do and not what they do.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's some nuances to their defense and special teams that we need to focus on. But when we just play our brand of football, it's tough to beat, right? We've showed that on offense, we've showed that on special teams, that when we just go out there and play fast and execute our system, we're really tough to stop. And it's fun football to watch, and it's fun football to play. And I think, we've mentioned a couple times, there's only one real game of film to watch and study on these guys. Calgary's been a team that we've played so many. What did we play 4 times last year?
Yeah.
Right. I feel like I watched this film ad nauseum, but specifically with an opponent like that, it's like we've seen games where we've been successful against them and won, but most of those games are when we just play our game. Right. We make them come and play up to our standards, and that's really what we got to focus on.
Is there a situation when you talk about playing hard and playing fast, do you feel comfortable enough with the system? Do you think the players, even the new players, feel comfortable enough with the system that allows them to play hard and fast? You know what I mean? They're not out there kind of having that paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, I think, the veteran guys, we can play free, right? It's like when you have a clear mind, you can play free and play fast. There's obviously things where you see a look that, might be crazy or whatnot. That's football, right? Those guys get paid too. Those coaches get paid too. But, Jordan always says something at the beginning of the year, and it's like, play with emotion. Don't let emotion play with you. And that's something that always sticks out to me because they want you to care. Rick wants you to care. They want this to mean something, and you can be yourself. It's as soon as you let 50,000 fans or having a concert and, the pressure of playing a West opponent, those things start to play with you. That's when you start to thinking about other things. But when you're just dialed in, being where your feet are, thinking about our game and our playbook, we can play some really fun football.
That's all you hear. Training camp, right? Alignment, responsibility, stance, just like the simple basics.
Just perfect pre-snap football.
Yeah, it's not too difficult. David, thanks so much for stopping by. Again, continued success. People want to follow you on Instagram, Twitter. You got an Instagram.
Oh yeah,
right?
Give me a follow on Instagram. I post irregular, but it's usually good content, and some more content coming soon with my friend at the end there. We're gonna start throwing some more stuff together.
And if people do want to follow you,
yeah, just D_Mackie on Instagram.
Mackie. There
You got some old school Western photos on there that are pretty classic.
Oh yeah, you can check it out.
All the hairstyles, everything, right?
Wow. Everything.
I think we're 10 out of 10 right now, though. I think you're at your prime for hair. So that's a 30 years old.
Yeah, your hair game is strong this
Hey, we go to the same barber.
Is that right?
Can you believe that?
Yeah, Leo.
Yes.
on Royal Oak and Burnaby. We go to the same barber. Takes me 5 minutes. Takes Mackie about 45. So there's the difference. David, again, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it, and good luck against the Calgary Stampeders.
Thanks, fellas.
There you go. David Mackie, BC Lions fullback, joining us here. Kelly O'Brien's in New Westminster, and a big shout-out to everybody here at Kelly O'Brien's, particularly Jen Mackie. No relation to David, the manager here, and her staff at Kelly O'Brien's at the foot of 8th Street, 8th and Columbia to be exact. We'll take a break. On the other side. World-famous trivia. Yes, Nick Kowalski's world-famous trivia.
Yes.
Plus, we'll talk a little bit about the Grey Cup and some of the stuff happening there, and we'll wrap everything up. You're listening to BC Lions on Tap on 980 CKNW.
This is Lions on Tap, presented by Coors Light, the chill choice and official beer of the BC Lions. Now it's time for Nick Kowalski's world-famous trivia.
Man, oh man, you know when you have your own intro, you've hit the big time. It's the Moj, Bob Marjanovic, along with Matt Baker, and the aforementioned Nick Kowalski, coming to you from Kelly O'Brien's in New Westminster. Big shout out to Jen Mackie and the staff here. Great hosts, and if you're in the neighborhood, check it out. Kelly O'Brien's, 8th and Columbia to be exact. All right, big boy, what do you got for us today?
We are going all things BC Lions attendance/locations. So it's a topical.
I like it. I like
theme,
it.
right? 55,000 probably coming for Saturday home opener. So off the bat here, and shout out to Matt Baker's and Steve Daniel for putting together the media guide, because if that didn't exist, I would not have been able to research this one. So
well, here's the other thing, too. And by the way, you mentioned Steve Daniel, who is going into the Hall of Fame, the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. I can't remember who else is going.
Someone we know, I think, yeah.
I can't remember. Anyway, Steve Daniel is going into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. They do such a tremendous job with all the stats in the league. What I love about the stat package this year, they have like 2 pages, one for each team. Historical, all the leading receivers, game records, single season records. Just, it's outstanding, and they should be commended for doing a great job, Steve and his staff.
Especially the Lions portion. Steve had done a great job preserving that, and it's important to publish it.
Fire away.
So you're studying, hey? Is what you're getting at? Okay. Okay, let's start off with this one. Which BC Lions season had the most total home fans?
1983.
Incorrect, both of you, because you said the same year.
85.
88.
Very close, but incorrect.
84.
Incorrect.
Oh, Doug Flutie. 1990?
Oh, you're getting colder.
Not 89.
Incorrect.
It's somewhere
88?
in the 80s.
It's 1986. So
86.
you guys are close.
Oh,
it had to be some.
Expo, that's what it was.
418,738 fans through the gate.
The capacity was larger in those days.
Yeah,
too,
but it was Expo. That's why the crowd was so big.
Fair enough. Yeah.
All right, by my numbers, or by the media book's numbers, 4 BC Lions games at BC Place have eclipsed the 50,000 mark in attendance this century. Can you name them?
2 against Winnipeg, semifinals, I'd say. 1990, does the 94 Grey Cup?
2000,
this century.
2011, September 30th, when the stadium reopened.
Bang.
Is this playoffs too, or regular?
Everything.
2004 Western Final,
Yep.
Saskatchewan.
Grey Cups?
BC Lions games.
Okay.
2004 Western.
2011 Grey Cup.
Yep.
That's 3?
That's 5, actually, because there's the Grey Cup. So there's 2 more here.
2007 Western Final.
There you go.
Saskatchewan.
Yep. All of them. Can you guys guess the highest attended game out of those?
Out of those, 2004, I want to say.
You were
At
correct.
55 and change. A big reason, too, for that was the hockey lockout, right? But the whole printers, we had a Harp, our guy here at AM 600s, in his printer's jersey tonight. So, that was a great game.
This one I might stump you with. So since that 2011 reopening game, which had over 50,000, can you name the highest attended game since then? Not counting the Grey Cup.
So after 2011?
Yep.
I'm going to go, was it 2012 Western Final?
2011 semifinal.
Incorrect. It's more recent.
Not
by much.
Okay. No, so we're not the 2012 Western Final?
It was not.
Fire away. What do you got?
Yeah.
For some reason, it was October 4th, 2013. It was a loss to Saskatchewan in Week 15. I don't know what the significance is there, but...
I know the significance.
What?
Was that the year there was the guaranteed win and they had to have a bunch of...
It was 37,000.
Maybe.
How about this one? When was the first ever game at BC Place?
1983.
Any details you remember?
I wasn't born yet.
What about something about the opening
there.
kickoff? What happened in the opening kickoff? What was so special about it?
Return for a touchdown.
No, it was an onside kick by Louis Pasagli on the opening kickoff. And guess who received the onside kick?
For British Columbia?
Yeah.
Mervyn Fernandez.
Correct. And he also scored the first ever touchdown at BC Place, too. I was watching that. I was watching that game. So that's what we got there. And I think we'll wrap it up there at trivia. So there's all attendance numbers. Big crowds coming up.
I'll tell you,
get your
BC
tickets
Place,
now.
In the late 80s, when they played Winnipeg in the finals and the Western finals, they'd get like 80,000, or probably 50,000 fans plus in the 80s. So it was pretty good.
One little quick tidbit, too. By my account, the BC Lions have played in front of 50,000 fans a total of 19 times. Their record is 12-7 in those games.
There you go.
There you go. Bring the roar factor. Yep.
All right, Grey Cup. Bakes, you got some news.
Yeah, so speaking of attendance, gentlemen. Dwayne Vinot tells me 42,000 and change sold for the Grey Cup. And think about this. It's been less than 2 weeks, less than a week, right, since the tickets went on sale. So we've talked about how this festival is going to be the biggest ever. That's going to sell out. It's only a matter of time. And it was great to be around the Grey Cup Festival folks last week. A great media tour. Of course, we had Randy Ambrosi on tap as part of that. And they made the rounds all over the city. The excitement is buzzing for Grey Cup 111. And the festival itself is going to be awesome. I know you're going to be zip-lining with Julio most of the nights. Maybe we'll do some on taps there. Yeah, so over 42,000. That's the big Grey Cup news.
Grey Cup, obviously, people can get more info at the Grey Cup Festival site. One last question, Bakes. Where are we at in terms of ticket sales for the game against the Stampeders? What's left?
So if you want them, you're going to have to snap them up when you can. Like I said, over 50,000. I see, and it's thanks to our great partners at Coors Light and Save on Foods for removing their tarps to open more of these end zone seats. And for $100, you can buy your add-on to watch 50 Cent concert from the field. So get them while you can. This we've got 5 days to go till to sell tickets. So let's sell it out.
Are you anticipating a sellout? You think?
I hope so. Yeah, that's the goal right now. And stay tuned, as they say.
I'll say one thing: 50,000 compared to 52. I don't know if you'll be able to notice the difference, but hey, it'd be pretty cool to say that we could sell out BC Place Stadium. All right, that is a wrap for us tonight. Again, if you're in the neighborhood in New Westminster, check everything out here. Kelly O'Brien's at 8th Street and Columbia. And again, a big shout out to the staff here. Jen Mackie does a tremendous job. Kaylee, one of their managers, and the rest of the staff. The food's tremendous. The service is great. And if you've never been in this building, man, like I told you, it's got a lot of history to it. The former keg that was here from 73 to 2013. It's an old New West railway station hub that was built in 1899, and legend has it, like I said at the start of the show, that it's haunted.
Some ghosts?
That there might be some ghosts here, Kowal. You got one of them infrared cameras?
No, I don't dabble in that much. And I'm not really into the paranormal either, so you guys can handle that. I'll be on the patio.
Okay. You be on the patio again if you get an opportunity. Come down and check it out. Again, it's a pretty special place. All right, that's a wrap for us tonight. Big thank you to all of our guests. David Mackie, fullback of the BC Lions. Of course, Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski coming in from the BC Lions media team. And again, check out all the great work they do on social media at BC Lions, on Twitter at BC Lions, on YouTube, and of course on Instagram as well. So you guys, and by the way, that training camp thing, again, Arrow Up, check it out. It's an hour long if you got the time. Nick and Liam did a tremendous job with that. I watched that today and I was like, wow, this stuff's really, really good. Also, a big thank you to our executive producer on site, Michael C. Winningham, doing a great job as usual. You know what I'm going to tell you before we get out of here? Do what you got to do, folks. Go for it on 3rd and short. Just do us a favor. Remember, be safe.